So I just got done filming a podcast episode. I was a guest on somebody's podcast. And before that, I was giving a session with a client, an energetic alignment reading, I call them. And before that, I was doing a bunch of computer work and just getting stuff done and working on creative things. So I've had this, set amount of time where it's been a lot of energy output for this stretch. But it's all things that I really enjoy and that support me energetically. The session was great. The podcast was awesome. I got off of it and I'm like, oh, I'm flying high. What should I do next? I'm so productive. And the reason why this is important to note, and I think many of you will relate to this, is that if you're energetically sensitive, and especially if you're a projector in human design, you kind of have a finite amount of energy in any given stretch of time. And usually it's about being aware of, the ways in which you're spending your time and your energy that are not a match, that are in spaces and places and with people and doing activities that drain you or that feel like a have to, or, just aren't a match. We have to be aware of that. And obviously the goal is to spend less time doing those things and spending time with those people or in those places or activities, and more times in the spaces and places that light you up, that are a match. But what about those times when you are in that arena where you're doing all the things that you love and that feel really good and that are making you feel, high as a kite vibrationally? But then you keep going because you're just enjoying it all, and then you still crash. Your energy, you realize, is still finite. And at the core of it is this little thing we like to call our nervous system. So even when, it's a quote unquote bad experience or an experience you don't want to be in, and your nervous system is charged and you're in fight or flight mode, and, you have to come down from that and recoup and recover. Well, consider that your nervous system still gets charged in the happy, good, fun, high energy scenarios that you want to be in. So again, today I'm doing all this fun stuff. I get off the podcast and I'm like, especially knowing that my energy as a projector is very limited in terms of tangible, concrete output of work. I'm only good for a little bit a day. I'm like, oh, I have all this energy. What should I do? But then I remembered, like in this moment before hitting the record button, no, Nova, you will burn out if you go too far. Let this be enough. And let's focus instead on relaxing your nervous system. Why? Because it is a marathon, not a sprint. And if I listen to my energy and act from this awareness, then it's far more likely I'm going to have it again tomorrow. If I don't, if I push it, even with really good things, it is far more likely that tomorrow I'm not going to feel like I want to do anything. And then I'll feel bad about that, and I'll have the internal struggle and have to, manage those thoughts and emotions too, which I can do. It's what I do for a living. I don't want to have to. So instead, I'm going to end work at 2:23 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon, and I'm going to spend the rest of my hours before my kids come home. Well, it's only a little over an hour now at this point, but I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to watch Sabrina the Teenage Witch, or I think it's called Chilling Tales of Sabrina on Netflix. I bet you thought I was going to say something like, I'm going to go meditate, or I'm going to go, read a self-development book. I already did that this morning. I'm going to go watch Sabrina. Why? Because it's relaxing, I can unplug, and it soothes my damn nervous system. So my point, my invitation to you, if you happen to be watching this, and if you happen to identify as an energetically sensitive or empathic person who's on this path of consciousness and alignment, and you're really aware that you have limited energy, or at least some dynamics in your energy that force you to be a bit more conscious, remember this. You got to be able to notice when it's time to stop, even when things are really good. It's kind of like going to a party and you're just having a great time, and maybe you're enjoying some adult beverages, and you're having so much fun, so why not stay later and drink more? And then you go home and you're like, well, that was a mistake. And then you're hungover the next day, or at the very least, just exhausted. You could have left. And then had a good day the next day too. So consciousness, intentionality, self-awareness, put it in action. Thank me later.